Someone made a video about this. I think it was Based MMA. He did hot takes, and I disagreed with one of them, but one of them was good, and it was that Yair Rodriguez, if he were to move up to 155, could probably outstrike the best of them. Maybe not someone with the threat of the takedown like Islam Makhachev, but I bet Yair easily outstrikes Justin Gaethje. I bet he could easily beat up Dustin Poirier on the feet with the featherweight skill. But there was one terrible take that Based MMA had in his video. I'm trying to remember what it was. One horrible take. I think it was that what was it? Ian Garry's not a good striker is what he said. and his reasoning was that he didn't look that good in front of MVP. You know, and Wonder Boys looked better than him in the past. But I think saying that Ian Garry's not a good striker because he doesn't look as good as Wonder Boy and MVP is just, I don't think it's a great take. I think that Ian Garry is a great striker if you've watched him fight. Listen, I know Song Kanon dropped him, but he did dog walk Song Kanon for 99% of that fight. Not many fighters in that division can do what Ian Garry did to Song Kanon. Not many people in that division can do what Ian Garry did to Neil Magny on the feet. I think he's a great striker. When it comes down to the top 10, he's a good striker. Great striker, meaning compared to the average welterweight. Good striker in the top 10. Like, he's not a better striker than MVP. He's not a better striker than Wonderboy. May not be better than Leon, but I think that he's definitely one of the top 5 best strikers in that division. If you're one of the top 5 best strikers in that division, then you got to be a good striker.
Well, Lucas Tracy just mentioned me in his most recent video. He's a fan of Based MMA. So if you guys are new, please make sure to like and subscribe just like Lucas Tracy and watch my videos. Now, he talked about me. He talked about my most recent video where I gave some UFC hot takes. You know, a lot of people were mad. Some people didn't agree. And to be honest with you, if you don't agree with my hot takes, then I'm probably doing something right. I feel like if everybody agrees with my hot takes, then maybe they're not that hot. And to be honest with you guys, I kind of gave you my lukewarm takes. I have hotter takes than that. But I really wanted to warm you guys up before I actually drop my real UFC hot takes video. But however, Lucas Tracy mentioned me in his most recent video. First, he praised my Yair Rodriguez take, in which I said that if Yair Rodriguez bulked up to the lightweight division and faced strikers like Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier, he would beat the shit out of them. And that's something that I've said, and Lucas Tracy agreed with that. Maybe some of you guys disagree with that, but I believe that if Yair Rodriguez, you know, moves up to the lightweight division, he could outstrike guys like Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier. And even in that video, I mentioned, of course, there's the threat of the takedown. Dustin Poirier could obviously shoot for a takedown. I don't think he beats a guy like Charles Oliveira. I don't think he beats a guy like Armin Saryukin. I don't think he would ever beat a guy like, what's his name? Like Islam Makhachev. But I think he could have success against Rafael Fiziev or a Justin Gaethje or a Dustin Poirier, guys that don't tend to grapple all that much. That is what I said in my video. Now, I understand that, you know, MMA fans are NPCs. They don't understand what people say most of the time. But then Lucas Tracy went on to say that my Ian Garry take is a horrible take. And he said my reason for saying that is because of the MVP fight. He said that nobody makes Neil Magny look the way Ian Garry made him look on the feet. He said Ian Garry is a great striker, but when it comes to the top 10, he's just a good striker. Now, the problem with that is, one, in my own video, I gave actual reasons why I believe Ian Garry is a bad striker. I didn't just say, oh, he's just a bad striker because of his performance against Michael Venom Page. I didn't just say that. Now, the Michael Venom Page fight just proves my point even more that he's not that good of a striker. And I picked Michael Venom Page to beat him. Honestly, I did. And I thought, you know, an argument could be made that Michael Venom Page won the fight, or it was at least a draw. Now, I understand Ian Garry did have control time, which is why they gave him the third round. But at the end of the day, he got exposed on the feet. You know what I'm saying? He got exposed on the feet. And even I, who was picking Michael Venom Page to beat Ian Garry, I still gave Ian Garry a lot of credit. I was like, okay, maybe he has success with the low kicks, with the body kicks, with the head kicks. You know, he earns the respect of a Michael Venom Page that way, but he wasn't able to do that. He looked flat-footed. He looked bad defensively. Like, everything Michael Venom Page was throwing in that second round was landing. If only Michael Venom Page just had a little bit more volume, I mean, I think Ian Garry only landed like 2-3 punches on the feet in that second round. I want to say like a jab here and there, but he looked horrible on the feet. He looked absolutely horrible. And if you're considered a good striker, a great striker, you would at least think he would have more success against a Michael Venom Page on the feet, but he had no success on the feet. He had absolutely no success on the feet, which is why he had to crush sniff in that third round to win that fight, because he knew he had nothing for Michael Venom Page on the feet. And if you have nothing, absolutely nothing for Michael Venom Page on the feet, can I really consider you a great striker? No. I think he's a bad striker. I mean, maybe compared to the welterweight division, maybe he's a top 6, top 7 striker, just because the welterweight division doesn't have a lot of pure strikers. I mean, we have Leon Edwards, who's also very well rounded. We got guys like JDM. I mean, he's a pretty good striker, better than Ian Garry, but he's not a good striker. And the second point he brings up is that nobody makes Neil Magny the way Ian Garry did in their fight. Now, the problem with that argument is that Ian Garry fought a Neil Magny that was stepping in on short notice. And yes, Ian Garry, dominated him, broke him down with the leg kicks, with the low kicks, but he wasn't able to finish him. And it's like, if you're really a good striker in the welterweight division and you fight guys that you're supposedly superior in the striking, and I do believe he is way better than Neil Magny in the striking, you would think he would be able to finish him and really end him, especially a Neil Magny that was stepping in on short notice. Now, the fight against Jeff Neal proves my point even more, because it was a Jeff Neal who has low output. He has a Philly shell. He pressures you. His footwork isn't all that great. And Jeff Neal had a lot of success against Ian Garry, and the fight went to a split decision. And what did Ian Garry do in that fight? All he did was circle around the cage, throw a low kick here and there, throw a head kick, move around, clinch up, and then circle around the cage again. But he hasn't been dominant. He hasn't been dominant on the feet. And when I think of a good striker in the UFC, especially like an elite striker, like people love to talk about Ian Garry like he's this amazing striker in the welterweight division. And when you think of a good striker, guys like Sean O'Malley, right? When has Ian Garry ever made a ranked opponent look the way Sean O'Malley just made Marlon Vera look on the feet? When has he ever done that? Or when has Ian Garry ever made an opponent look the way Peter Yan made Corey Sandhagen look on the feet? When has he ever done that? And this is a guy that's a pure striker that is supposed to be the next Conor McGregor. When has Ian Garry ever done that? Oh, a split decision against Jeff Neal? Oh, you can't even hold a candle to Michael Venom Page on the feet? Oh, you broke down Neil Magny with low kicks, but you couldn't even finish him? That's the great striker? I mean, the welterweight division doesn't have, that many amazing strikers, which I get the argument. Maybe that's why he stands out a little bit more, but he's a point fighter. All he does is throw a couple low kicks. He doesn't set up his jab. He doesn't set up his right hand. His combinations suck. Very one-dimensional. Doesn't have good boxing defense. Very hittable. Flat-footed on the feet. That's something people don't talk about. Ian Garry is very, very flat-footed. He's actually very flat-footed. When he closes in the distance, he's very flat-footed. He's not as elusive as people love to bring up. He doesn't set up his hands very well. So yeah, he has a couple low kicks and head kicks. Does that really make him a good striker? And the funny thing is, look, I'm not a big fan of Adesanya. Lucas Tracy is not a big fan of Adesanya, clearly. He shits on Adesanya all the time, and so do I. But you can't shit on Adesanya's striking and then say that Ian Garry is a great striker or a good striker. When the reality is, at least Adesanya has dominant performances or knockouts over ranked opponents in the middleweight division. Knocking out Alex Pereira is a big feat. Can Ian Garry do that? When has Ian Garry ever showed that, or even a sign of that? Oh, okay, he got dropped by Son Conan and was able to TKO him in the third round. Oh, so impressive. Oh, wow, whoa. Son Conan is so good. Oh. No. Ian Garry is not a good striker. He's really not. And compared to the ranked, welterweights, even less. He's a mid striker. That's the reality. He's a mid striker. And like I said, when I mean bad, I don't mean bad compared to me and you, to, the regular Joe, an amateur. Obviously, he would beat those guys. He would beat the shit out of me, of course. But compared to the top strikers in the UFC, Ian Garry is not one of them. Going to a split decision against Jeff Neal. Do I have to repeat myself? Oh, okay. He knocked out Daniel Rodriguez with a head kick. Okay, yeah, he has good head kicks. I will admit. But that can't be all. That can't be all just to be considered a good striker. And I really do stand by my opinion that I think he's a bad striker. I've had this opinion for a while. The Michael Venom Page fight just confirmed what I already kind of felt about him. Especially rewatching his fights. I'm just like, man, he's not that elusive. He's not that fast. Yeah, he throws good body kicks. He doesn't have like the highest volume. He doesn't have the best finishing ability. He likes to clinch up a lot. Do I really think this guy's that good of a striker, or am I just giving him too much credit just because the rest of the MMA community thinks Ian Garry is this amazing striker? You know what I'm saying? So Lucas Tracy, like I said, it's kind of funny. You say he was a great striker, and then once you thought about the top 10, you're like, oh no, he's just a good striker. And in my own video, I didn't say that Ian Garry is a bad striker because he's not as good as Michael Venom Page or because he's not as good as Stephen Thompson. But the fact that you couldn't even hold a candle to Michael Venom Page on the feet should tell you something. The fact that you went to a split decision against a Jeff Neal who was coming off a horrible beating of Shavkat Ramonov a year prior and hadn't fought for a year should tell you something. You know what I'm saying? Like, this guy is not an elite striker. He will never be. Good for him that he's becoming more well-rounded and, maybe improving his grappling. But I think he's going to get exposed. I think somebody like JDM would beat him. Yeah, he's more technical than somebody like Shavkat Ramonov, maybe able to outpoint him. But Shavkat has a fucking chin. He has power. He actually has pretty good boxing, underrated boxing. Very good in the clinch. Nightmare matchup for Ian Garry. And like I said, I really do believe Ian Garry is a bad striker. He has boxing deficiencies. He doesn't move well moving backwards. He's very hittable moving backwards. He doesn't move his head. He's very flat-footed. He doesn't have a lot of power in his hands. He doesn't set up his jab or right hand very well. So there's many reasons why I believe he's a bad striker. Now, I know you don't have to agree with me. That's why it's a fucking hot take. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, Lucas Tracy, if you ever want to debate this, I'm down, man. You tell me when and where. I'm down. I'm the small channel. You're the one with almost 100,000 subscribers. This would really help out my channel. I'm being honest. That's why I'm responding to it. But I mean, a lot of people also commented in that video saying that it was such a bad take. I don't think it's that bad of a take. And like I said, there's fights that you can go back and rewatch that will prove that Ian Garry is not that good of a striker. And he's really not. And I really do believe so, guys. I didn't just say that for fucking shock value. I actually do believe Ian Garry is a bad striker. Bad boxing, very flat-footed, isn't good at, being dominant and really outpointing his opponents and really making them look silly. Okay, yeah, he made Neil Magny look silly, who was stepping in on short notice, but he couldn't even finish him. He couldn't even fucking finish him, And this is the next Conor McGregor, by the way. So, yeah, I understand. Maybe the welterweight division doesn't have that many good strikers, but in comparison to the rest of the other divisions, in terms of strikers, Ian Garry sucks. He's not that good of a striker. And like I said, it's not just because he got exposed by Michael Venom Page on the feet. I thought Michael Venom Page was a better striker. And even me, I gave Ian Garry a lot of credit in my prediction video. I said, you know what? Maybe Ian Garry is not that good of a striker, but I think maybe with the low kicks, maybe maybe he'll have more success than I'm giving him credit for. No, he had less success than I was actually expecting. So like I said, I do believe Ian Garry is a bad striker. I think he's a bad striker compared to the rest of the UFC. The reality is he's probably mid. He's probably mid. I mean, I will admit he's probably mid. He's probably not as bad as, the amateurs, whatever. But in terms of UFC strikers, he sucks. He's bad. Bad boxing deficiencies, no power, no combinations, flat-footed, circles around the cage, low output, fucking boring, many reasons. So like I said, Lucas Tracy, whenever you're down, we could discuss this. We could debate on the whole Ian Garry thing. I don't think he's a good striker. I really don't believe so. It's my hot take. I have hotter takes than this. And don't remember, Lucas Tracy. Don't forget, Lucas Tracy. Before Alexander Volkanovski had gotten knocked out by Islam Makhachev in the rematch, you had said that Topuria was not ready for Volkanovski. And I had made a video saying that I believed that Ilia Topuria was ready for Alexander Volkanovski. And in that video, I countered your point saying that because you were saying, oh, well, Topuria hasn't fought, any good, featherweights. He's not ready for someone like Alexander Volkanovski. This was Volkanovski coming off the win over Yair Rodriguez. And this was Ilia Topuria coming off that win over Josh Emmett. And in my video, I said, you know what? Look, Topuria is ready for Alexander Volkanovski. He's a nightmare matchup, short and stocky, has the power advantage, also a very good striker, also very well-rounded. I always thought that Topuria was just a nightmare for Volkanovski, even before Volkanovski decided to take the short notice fight against Islam Makhachev. Now, after the rematch with Makhachev, where Volk got knocked out in the first round, you changed your tune and you said, oh yeah, Toporia's gonna knock out Volkanovski in the second round. But that's something that I had been saying for over a year. That I just thought Topuria it's just a nightmare matchup, man. A nightmare matchup. Somebody that is just as short as you, just as strong, but has the power advantage, has the boxing advantage over you. Volkanovski was getting older at the time. Like I said, I've been right before. I'm wrong sometimes. So it is what it is, guys. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.